You, a private stormtrooper of the Empire, were born in 15 BBY, deep in the underworld of Coruscant, in a sector where the sun never breaks through kilometers of metal and concrete. Not in the glittering towers of the upper levels with holographic gardens, but in the eternal semi-darkness, where the air is thick with machine oil, rust, and the smell of synthetic food. Your family lived in a tiny 4x4-meter cell, partitions made of rusty corrugated iron, one common terminal for the entire block, water that tasted like chemicals. My father worked on an Imperial Navy assembly line, assembling turbolasers for star destroyers, 16 hours a day. My hands were calloused, and my back wouldn't straighten after a cheap implant. Mother worked in the laundry of the officers' garrison, washing white uniforms, which always left her with red, chapped fingers. You, a little boy, ran through dark corridors, collected scraps from garbage chutes, and dreamed of the day when you would put on the white armor of a stormtrooper and finally get out of this pit. You're 5 years old. You already understand the rules of the lower levels. The strong strike, the weak remain silent. Your father comes home high on stimulants, yells at your mother, and hits her with his implanted fist. You hide behind the boxes. Your sister cries. Grandfather, a former clone veteran, remains silent. He also saw the Clone Wars. Food, synthetic protein from a vending machine, sometimes rat meat if you're lucky enough to steal it from the ventilation. In summer, there's heat from overheated reactors. In winter, there's cold that makes the armor of a stormtrooper seem like an impossible dream. In the year 0 before the Battle of Yavin, you're 15. Imperial propaganda holos are on every screen. The Empire is order. Stormtroopers are the shield of civilization. You watch the white figures in stormtrooper armor marching in parades, and you think, here it is, salvation. Your father loses his arm at the factory. The implant malfunctions, zero compensation. Your mother dies of a lung infection because medical care is only for the loyal. You decide. At 18, you'll go to the recruiting center. In 3 BBY, you're 18. You're standing in line at the recruiting station in the lower levels. They examine you. Your height is normal, and your vision is corrected with a laser right there on the spot. Fit for infantry. Guerrilla training base. 6 months of hell. Wake up at 4 in the morning, running in full stormtrooper armor through the mud and rain. The veteran instructor yells, "A stormtrooper feels no pain. A stormtrooper doesn't think. A stormtrooper follows orders." You're electrocuted for making a mistake in formation, forced to disassemble an E11 blaster with your eyes closed. The first time you shoot at targets, you hit 90% of the time. They praise you. Good stuff. You get your first white stormtrooper armor, heavy, hot, with a constantly fogging visor. You look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. In the year 0, the Battle of Yavin, you're 20. You're thrown into suppressing an uprising on some backwater planet in the mid-rim. Your first battle. You're in white stormtrooper armor. Your helmet presses on your ears. Your blaster burns your hands. Rebels in the jungle. You shoot at silhouettes. The first one killed is a guy your age, unarmored. Blood on the white plastic of your stormtrooper armor. You puke into your helmet. That evening, the sergeant pats you on the shoulder. Welcome to reality, Stormtrooper. You receive your first reward, 100 credits, and a dose of stimulants to keep your hands from shaking. In the year 2 ABY, you're 22. You're transferred to a garrison on the planet Lothal. It's a real guerrilla war here. Raids happen every night. You burst into villages in white stormtrooper armor, kick down doors, and drag out suspects. Sometimes it's families. You see your partner, TK-421, burning down a house with children inside on orders. You remain silent, because if you speak up, they'll put you up against the wall yourself. I lost my first platoon. 3 of us were blown to pieces by a mine. You yourself took a shrapnel fragment in your shoulder under the armor of your assault aircraft. A scar for life. The doctors gave you a painkiller and sent you back to duty 2 days later. In the year 3 ABY, you're 23. You're assigned to escort a convoy to the Death Star. You stand on the deck of the Star Destroyer, your white stormtrooper armor gleaming under the artificial light. You don't understand what it means until you see the planet Alderaan simply vanish in a flash. You stand at the window in your Stormtrooper armor and feel something break inside you. That evening, you're getting drunk on cheap spice in the barracks. The sergeant says, "Don't think." A Stormtrooper doesn't think. In 4 ABY, you're 24. The Battle of Endor. You're dropped on a forest moon. Rebels are everywhere. You're running through the trees in white Stormtrooper armor, your blaster spitting fire. Your platoon is wiped out in 10 minutes. You fall, wounded in the leg, your helmet visor cracked. You hear the Emperor die. You hear the destroyers explode in orbit. When the rebels arrive, you no longer resist. You're taken prisoner. Your white Stormtrooper armor is stripped off right there on the battlefield. It's covered in the dirt and blood of your comrades. You're being taken to a prison camp on Yavin 4, a 3x3-meter cell, concrete, bars, 6 years. You sit and remember. You remember your father, whom you never saw after the draft. You remember your mother. You remember those children on Lothal. You remember how you yourself shot at the backs of those running. You read the underground rebel pamphlets that the guards sometimes plant. For the first time, you think, what did I fight for? In 10 ABY, you're 30. You're released under the New Republic's amnesty. You walk out the gates wearing an old tattered jacket. The galaxy has changed. No Empire, no white Stormtrooper armor, no orders. You return to Coruscant. The lower levels are still the same. Your old house was torn down. Now it's a corporate headquarters. Your father died 5 years ago. Your sister went off to parts unknown. You get a job as a loader at the docks. The pay is low. Every night you dream of explosions, the white armor of a Stormtrooper, blood on your visor. You're not a hero. You're not an elite soldier of the Empire. You're just another cog that was broken and discarded. You didn't change the galaxy. You didn't protect order. You didn't defeat chaos. You simply survived. And that's all.